Coming up today, episode 86 of In the Front Row with Mike Vaccaro, we sit down with Director of Player Development for the Texas Rangers, Josh Bonifay. Bonifay, who grew up around baseball, his grandfather a GM in minor league baseball, his dad a former GM with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He tells us about being on the inside of that organization and being around players such as Barry Bonds, King Griffey Jr., and Kirby Puckett. Bonifay eventually played baseball in Asheville, North Carolina, and went on to UNCW, where he continued to hone his skills and was drafted in 1999 by, yes, the Pittsburgh Pirates. His dad gave him the call, letting him know he was drafted. He shares his story with us from UNCW to coaching and managing, and now in the front office, currently with the Rangers and being a World Series champion. It is episode 86 of In the Front Row with Mike Vaccaro, featuring Josh Bonifay, the Director of Player Development for the Texas Rangers. Josh, first of all, I know you're a busy man working in Major League Baseball. You're always busy, right? But winter meetings going on and everything else. So I appreciate you spending a little time with us here today. And we want to dive into your story here. Obviously, UNCW fans who may be watching this know about that. But want to tell the whole story for you. And in doing some research, it looks like your story kind of begins with your grandfather as far as baseball is concerned. I saw he was a minor league general manager. What do you remember about his days, and did that rub off on you at all?
Yeah, he was a minor league general manager for about 25 years. I mean, he traveled from Montgomery to St. Pete to Macon, Georgia. We've always been a baseball family. But yeah, I used to ride on tractors and ride around the Macon ballpark there when it was the Macon Braves. And I think it was the Reds. I mean, they had a lot of affiliations back in the day when they transferred affiliates. But it was tremendous to always be with my grandfather. He was a great man, good baseball man, and he's the one that kind of started it for all of us inside of our family.
Yeah, do you ever remember a time when you weren't tied to a baseball field?
No, there's never been a time. I think when I went back, to finish my degree, I was focused on getting my degree for like a year. That was really the only time I wasn't affiliated with anything. But still, at that point, I would come over, see Coach Scalf and Coach Hood, and help out with practice every once in a while. So.
Well, it went from your grandfather to your dad, Cam Bonifay, who was a longtime Major League Baseball general manager, the general manager of the year with the Pirates back in 1997. So as you got older, did you learn the game more? And maybe you're probably a rare guy that maybe learned the backside, the inside of the game, maybe more than some other people growing up.
Yeah, I was just a really fortunate kid. I mean, I was inside the clubhouse. I was inside the office. I used to watch my dad do business inside of his office. I would sit on the couch, which was kind of off to the side, but you're always paying attention. You're always watching. You just see how he collaborated with his group. He communicated with his staff, and how they came to make decisions. You see how many hours he worked through the morning, through the night, the return phone calls with voicemails. Back then it wasn't so much emails, but it was a lot of voice calls, and he was always busy. But I just love being in there. I was very fortunate to watch him have conversations with trainers and managers, with Jimmy Leland and Gene Lamont and just Lloyd McClendon. I was just very fortunate. I got to be at spring training and got to see how the day flowed and how they, the process worked in their meetings, and why they would set up specific work drills and things of that nature in order to help players get better. So, I'm just so lucky, very lucky as a kid. And I was very fortunate to be able to learn that early and bring it along with me in my career.
And you mentioned Jim Leland just announced that he's going into the Hall of Fame this summer as well. Is that a little bit more special for you? Like you said, you were kind of there during some of the early days for him.
Yes. And, I know his son, Patrick, really well, who's a manager inside the Chicago White Sox organization. But Katie and Jim are they're really close with our family. And it was just special to see him at the winter meetings, congratulate him, and just be a part of, our family, be a part of his journey onto the Hall of Fame.
I'm sure during that time as well, you're seeing players. Were you awestruck as a kid, or was it kind of, oh, this is just what I do. This is just what my life is like?
Well, I mean, I got to be around Barry Bonds, Andy Van Slyke, Jay Bell. I mean, Bob Walk. I mean, there was just so many players that I got to be around. I was a bat boy in the '94 All-Star game. Like, you got to be around Frank Thomas, Randy Johnson, Will Clark. I mean, Pudge. You name it. I was around them. So, as a kid, I was starstruck at first, but as I continued to grow older, I was just very, very privileged. There's no way around it. I was inside places that nobody would ever imagine, and I got to do things that I only dreamed of, and I got to live it out. So as I've grown older, I'm not starstruck when I see them. I'm just a part of a baseball family, and just very privileged and honored to be a part of that still.
Any moment during that time that really sticks out in your mind, and any interaction with Barry Bonds, or just said Frank Thomas working the All-Star game?
With Barry Bonds is like, a lot of people used to say he didn't work hard. He worked extremely hard, and he did it behind closed doors a lot. And he would hit for long hours. He would lift weights, and he would do things just beyond what you saw on the field. And he always prepared himself. But Ken Griffey Jr. and Kirby Puckett was probably one of my favorite memories. Is like Kirby was just giving him crap nonstop about him wearing his hat backwards. He's like, "You're the only one in Major League." And it was just to see them go back and forth. And it was a veteran player, Kirby, who everybody respects and loves and adored. And then also this young Kirby Puckett. I mean, this young Ken Griffey Jr. who could do no wrong in the eyes of the world in baseball at that time. He's got the most beautiful swing in the world. He's just extremely talented, and his dad played in the game. So to watch that interaction inside the clubhouse, I think that was one of my most fond memories of just seeing the different layers and just the different interactions with older players, younger players, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that backward hat, synonymous with that, right, for Ken Griffey Jr. as well. So I think it worked out all right for him to wear the hat backwards. Yeah. Kirby might have been wrong on that one.
Yeah, Kirby did hit a pretty good one in the World Series, though, I think. So
there you go.
Both of them have tremendous memories, and they played the game with the way that's supposed to be played, and their individual style of play.
Eventually, you played as well. You played in high school, and then you get recruited. Why for you was UNCW? Because you were in Asheville, North Carolina. So you're coming across the state to the coast in Wilmington, North Carolina. What made UNCW a great fit for you?
I met Coach Scalf at a hitting camp at Georgia Tech, and I talked to him. I really enjoyed my conversation with him. He showed a lot of interest in me there. But when I went to go visit UNC Wilmington, it was the most beautiful campus that I went on. I mean, I went to the beach, I went to the stadium. It was almost. I really liked just the closeness of it, and I really wanted to be at a good business school. And the Cameron School of Business was outstanding. So, I mean, it's a beautiful place. I loved it. I was there with Mr. Avent. On campus, and he sold it. But Jason Roach, I mean, there's so many other people that were there on my visit, and it was just one of the best. So I got along extremely well with Coach Scalf at Georgia Tech, and we kept in touch. And still to this day, Coach Scalf is a father figure. He is a leader. He's just the main reason why anybody went there when we chose to go there. He was just amazing. So
yeah, Mark Scalf became the all-time winningest coach. You played there 97 to 99. You kind of predate when the team finally broke through, got to the CAA tournament as well. But for you as an infielder, outfielder, it seems like you were kind of on the teams that were laying the foundation. Is that what you kind of look at when you look back at your time there with Coach Scalf and UNCW baseball?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, we had Kevin Hare, we had Mike Fote, we had a lot of, like, Jason Roach. We had a lot of people that came in, laid the foundation, and we were able to change the culture at that point, and make sure that we were putting together close to winning seasons, and then trying to get over the hump to have winning seasons. Thereafter. So. We look at it as laying the foundation. Coach Scalf did a tremendous job, bringing in coaches, bringing in people to help during my time there. And, as soon as I left, I mean, it continued to get better, but Coach Scalf did a phenomenal job at recruiting, along with Coach Wilkinson and the rest of the group there. But just really feel like we laid the foundation, and they were able to push it forward pretty quick after I left. So.
And we always talk about with the program as well. With baseball, it's a brotherhood. You guys, even though you graduated, later on, you finished up in 1999. I know you and others still are tied to that program. Still, do stuff with that program. Is it Mark Scalf that's underlying that he is the link to the past and the present with that program?
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Scalf just continues to call. He continues to check in. But it's also the relationships that you create when you're there as well. To get to know all the people, and Blaine Joyner and Lee Grant and guys that continue to go back and support the Seahawks. We have really great friendships, and we created those. But Coach Scalf is the reason that we all stay together. He's the reason that we have a dugout club, and we're able to continue to stay linked up together, is because he started to create avenues and ways for us to communicate, touch base with one another. And he started creating alumni weekends with golf tournaments and things of that for us. So he really did a fantastic job in bringing us back together throughout the seasons in the spring and the fall. And we all just, appreciate what he's done for that program, for us. We're able to continue to pull for the Seahawks, even though he's no longer at the helm.
Again, you left in 1999 because you got drafted, and you got drafted by Pittsburgh. Yeah. Did you get a phone call from your dad? How did that go down?
Yeah, actually, I think I still have it. It was like a Western Union thing that I received back in 1999 that said I had been drafted by the Pirates. But yeah, I mean, my father, we didn't have cell phones back then. So after a baseball game in Asheboro, I went home, called my dad. He told me that I had been drafted, and I was kind of floored by it. I didn't really expect it. But yeah, it was a really cool phone call. It's neat. It was an honor to be drafted by the club that my dad was the general manager of. There's obviously I knew the Pittsburgh Pirates extremely well, had been around. So just knowing where I needed to go for spring training and all of those it was a bonus. But I knew once I got drafted by the Pirates, I knew what types of pressures I would be under when I was playing.
Yeah, again, you'd been, in and around that organization. You played for 8 years, minor league level. What was that like for you to play that long? I'm sure you obviously had aspirations to get to Major League Baseball, but when did you think maybe that's not going to be where this ends up for me?
Yeah, I didn't think anything of it until I went in for my shoulder surgery in 2006. I had played 8.5 years. I enjoyed every moment of it. I loved playing minor league baseball. I loved playing baseball, period. It didn't matter. As long as you have a jersey, you have an opportunity that you never know. Some it takes 13 years, some it takes a shorter time to get to the major leagues. That was what I was focused on. But when I went in 06 in October, I had a shoulder that was not very good. I had a labrum, a rotator, and an AC joint that all needed repaired in the same surgery. And the doctor didn't give me much of a chance to come back of, just because of the strength and things that it would take to get back. So unfortunately, I didn't make it back, but I spent basically all of 07 trying extremely hard to get back to it until finally, the day was there when I just couldn't do it anymore.
You decided to finish up your education at UNCW. How important was it for you to finish up to get that degree before you moved on to whatever was going to be next?
Yeah, I mean, I would have been the only person in my family not to get a degree. So it was very important to me. It was important to my family, my father, my mother. So I wanted to do that for myself, but for them as well. Like it was extremely important to me. So, and I didn't want to go anywhere else. I had multiple opportunities to go to different schools, and I could have went anywhere, but I wanted to go back to Wilmington. I really did. I loved being there and being back without having to play baseball. I got to focus on my studies. I got to focus on doing different things in Wilmington that I haven't done before. And it was an awesome 1.5 years to go back and finish up.
So you finished up and you're thinking, what? What were you thinking was going to be next for you?
I knew I was going to go back to baseball. During my time there, I went through summer and then a winter or a fall session. During the fall session, I put together my resume. I sent it to all 30 major league clubs, and then I received. Back then it was you had to do the envelopes and send them out and wait and hopeful that somebody would call you. So I had 5 replies, 5 phone calls that came back. And Cal Stark called me with the Pirates. I've been a lifer of a Pirate, so I decided the Pirates offered me a development coach job, and I decided to take it after I graduated in May.
You did coaching. You've been a manager of the year in the Appalachian League back in 2013 as well. Did you think that was going to continue to be your path? Did you enjoy that as your path?
Oh man, I loved it. I really did. I loved hitting. I loved managing. Managing, there's nothing greater than competing. Like when you're on the field and competing to put your players in the best chance to have success, but also competing to beat that guy over there and beat that team and beat them because you've prepared more, you've thought more, you've done more, and your players are better prepared on the field. There's really nothing better. It's every night there's something new, there's something different, there's some rule that gets you, and you grow and learn. But managing is awesome. So, but while I was managing, I had other opportunities, and they called me after the 2016 year and offered me the field coordinating spot with Houston. I was only there for about 8 weeks, and then the Texas Rangers called for the Major League field coordinating job, and that was a dream of mine, just to get to the Major League. So that was a pretty cool phone call.
What goes into a job like that?
So I was running the outfield and base running, and also doing the schedules. So my responsibility was to collaborate with each discipline every single day to make sure that if we had base running, we had outfield, infield play, hitting, we had times, we had media time. Just everything you can possibly imagine. Field times, what fields are we using, and how they sync up with live BPs, how they sync up with just so many different parts moving around. And also it was to communicate with the minor leagues in order to get minor league players to come in and play major league games during spring training and things of that nature. So it was just to communicate, collaborate, and execute a schedule every day during spring training, during the season, while doing outfield and base running.
What prepared you think for that type of role? Was it more your playing days, or was it, again, going back to your time growing up around it and around your dad?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. You take bits and pieces from every situation that you learn and grow from. But also, I ran spring training for the minor leagues in the extended spring for 3 years. And that was really, really what helped me, designing a schedule, talking to the strength coach, ATCs, nutritionist, the director of baseball operations. It really helped me organize myself, organize my thoughts, just organize the day, and understand that, I am there to serve, and that's what I am there for. Nothing else. It's not about me. It is about to serve others and serve the people and the organization, and make sure we get the best possible schedule for our players to make sure they're ready for a season.
You go from Texas 2018 to the Phillies director of player development. What do you remember most about your time there? I know for you, maybe it didn't end as well as you would have liked, but it seems like you had a hand in maybe what we've seen the last couple of years from the Phillies.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Phillies are a phenomenal first-class organization. They really are. Middleton does a phenomenal job of taking care of his employees, making sure that they have what they need in order to be successful. He makes sure you have resources and things to get that done. I was just honored to be a small piece in history in the Philadelphia Phillies. I really was. I grew as a person, a massive amount. Anytime that you take on a role where you're responsible for, 150 staff members plus 300 players, you learn a lot, and you learn how to do things, and you learn what not to do a lot more than you learn how to do things. So, the Phillies, it was about coming in, creating a culture and creating a way of doing things and putting plans and processes into place and making sure that was seen through. Obviously, I would want it to last a little longer than the 3 years that I was there, but I don't take anything away from it. Like I learned, I grew, I really enjoyed Philly. My family, we actually lived in New Jersey, and we had a great little community where our family lived. We made tremendous friends. We still will go back there and visit them, but Philadelphia and the Phillies, they gave me an opportunity, and that's all you can ask for in this game, is an opportunity to do things that you love to do and do it at a high level.
Being on the inside in Philly sports, what do you learn about the fan base? Maybe you knew a little bit, with your time in Pittsburgh, but you're on the inside now, and it's a rabid fan base. Obviously, they love to win. So many good pro teams there, but what do you learn when you're on the inside of that organization?
They love Philly sports. There is nothing more than they want to do and to win constantly every single year. And they're very, very passionate. They're extremely passionate about each one of them. And that's what you learn. I mean, you just learn that they care. And that's why they hold you to a high standard in the front office. And that's why they hold you to a high standard on the field, is because they are invested. That is a part of their life. That is a part of the way they've grown up, they would live. So you can't fault them for it at all. Like you embrace it, you embrace the challenge, and you embrace them as a fan base. So they're very passionate.
2021, you go back with Texas, the farm director, and talk about challenges. You go to a team that hadn't won a World Series, a team that had some talent, but certainly putting things together. What was it like going back to Texas, getting back with the Rangers?
Honestly, it was like home. When I walked in, I had been there in 17 and knew a ton of people. And when I walked in the door, it was a brand new stadium. So I didn't walk into the old stadium that I worked in, but it was home. CY I had played with, and Josh Boyd I had worked with, and my brother had worked with, and my dad had come across him in the scouting world, and Ross Fenstermaker I had known previously. And all of the people that were there, I had some sort of relationship with. So I had never lost touch with them. And, as baseball, it's a small world. And as you work in the industry, you get fired, you move on, you get, reassigned, and you move on, and a lot of people. So when I walked back in, I was extremely comfortable. I was very excited. I was very happy about the vision that CY and JD had put forth on the phone calls to bring me over there, and I was all in. I was pumped and really excited to be back with the Rangers.
Eventually get promoted to director of player development, like the role you had with the Phillies. That was in 2022. So obviously you had a big hand or a hand in what we saw this year, this team winning the World Series. What can you tell us about what your role was and how it led to some of the players, some of the development in that organization to get to a World Series championship?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this in terms of what I did. I didn't do much. Like, as a front office person, what you do is you go through processes in order to hire the best people, put processes in place, put curriculum in place for your staff and for the people that work with you. And then you watch them work. And our staff are the ones is the one that really put forth all the work on the field, behind the scenes, advanced process, hitting processes, pitching process. Like, our staff is really the drivers of the success in our organization. And what they did was what we tried to do for office-wise was create the culture, create the resources, give them the resources, but then hire the best people in order for them to coach our players, assist our players, and help them develop our players to get to the major leagues and have like Evan Carter and Josh Youngs and Josh Smith and Ezekiel Duran and Owen White and a lot of our guys, Jonathan Ornalis this year, they played a big part of this, and they played a big part in winning a World Series, the first ever in Rangers history. But it's just kudos to the staff, the people that work so many hours away from their family, that are selfless, that put their players first, their needs first, and really push them to challenge them and make sure we get the most out of them.
Obviously, one of the big moves as well was the hiring of Bruce Bochy, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Won World Series championships previously with the Giants, but he was retired. So what went into bringing him back? Because it was a move that obviously worked.
Yeah, I mean, CY he played for him in the past. He had a tremendous relationship with him. CY knew what he was capable of, knew the person he was, knew his ability and his vision. But he took a shot, and he went in to see him, went into his home. Shared the vision, which I just explained to you earlier. He shared the vision with him, and it really motivated him, and he was inspired to come back and inspired to be a Ranger. And that's the thing that CY does so well. He's extremely passionate. He loves the game of baseball. He has an intensity in the way he goes about it, and he pushes you to get better, but he pushes everybody to he talks about a gold standard, and being a Ranger is not for everybody. And that's the thing that you really take away from the conversation. Like, this is a special place because not everybody is going to be a Ranger. Not everybody fits here. It's special people, and that was what he, went to Boch with, and that's what Boch is. He's a special person that gets the most out of their players. He communicates well. He pushes you to get better. He challenges your train of thought, and he expects players to be ready when they come from the minor leagues, which is my job, is to make sure that they're ready to come into that type of environment, that type of clubhouse, and be ready to execute fundamentals nonstop.
What does winning the World Series do for all of that, and for maybe the narrative of who the Texas Rangers are now?
It changes history. You're a part of history now. You were the first group to win a World Series. You live in history. You will always be a special part of Rangers history because we are a part of the first one. But it also puts a target on your back for next year, and that's the cool thing about it. Is like, hey, how do we find ways to repeat? How do we find ways to get back there, win another one, and be that first team that's won? And I guess it's like 20 something years that's had the ability to repeat as a champion. So it definitely puts pressure on you a little more because of the success that you had, but the pressure is all a part. Do you want to be a part of that pressure? Yes, you always want to win and have that pressure on you. But being a Ranger is extremely special, and I take a lot of pride in wearing the T on my chest.
Well, being a Seahawk, very special. You're in rare company there, winning the World Series. With your role, just the second UNCW former player to ever do that. Carl Willis did that in 1991 with the Twins. When you think about that, how special does it make it, again, tying in what you're doing now to your past with UNCW?
Yeah. It's just an honor. That's all it really is. It's an honor that I'm a part of the Seahawk family. It was an honor to play there. It was an honor to be just, mentioned along with Carl. Like it's just an honor to be mentioned in history, along with really special people. A lot of tremendous baseball players, a lot of great people that have impacted the Seahawks organization, the Seahawks, the community. I'm just extremely honored to be a part of that, stay a part of that, and just honored on the other end that I was able to be a part of a World Series champion as well.
Again, you were a coach, a manager. Now you're in the front office. What's the future for you? Is it following in the footsteps potentially of your dad someday?
You never know. Like, the challenges. What I always say is be where your feet are, and that's the main objective. Is like be where your feet are. Do the best job that you can where you are at that current time. Individual accolades or individual accomplishments will come if you do the right things all the time, and you work hard. You keep yourself in good standing with the baseball community. You take care of your family. You take care of your wife and your kids. You try to be a good role model for people I believe that good things happen to good people, but I always try to be where my feet are. And if things like that happen in the future, that would be really cool too. So right now I'm focused on what I'm doing, but if that ever happened, I would be honored to have that position and be honored to hold a position like that in the game of baseball.
You mentioned family, and in sports, whether you're a coach, whether you're again front office, a player, it's never easy on the family. But how do you make it work when your job is almost, I'm sure very nonstop at times? How do you make it work with your family to make sure that you've got that balance?
Yeah, you just, when you're at home, you got to be at home, and you got to really focus in on your kids and your wife. I try every time with my wife to make sure that we have special time together, and the same with my kids. But this year, it was one of the coolest experiences I will ever take, was flying my family with me to the ALDS, the ALCS, and the World Series, and just sharing those moments with them. It really is. They love the game of baseball just as much as I do. My wife probably knows more about baseball than I do. She is superwoman. She is unbelievable. But you have to have a partner that's with you, that understands it, that knows that you're in it to take care of the family, provide for the family, and know that whenever you're at home, it is about them as well. So it's definitely a balance. But my family, I'm very thankful for, and they love the game just as much as I do. So.
Is it kind of full circle moment to see again where you were a kid raised on the game and now your kids are kind of doing similar? Do you look at your kids and kind of see yourself at times?
Oh yeah, especially, I mean, I'll share with you. I took Cora with me to game 6 and 7 of the ALCS, just Cora and I. So it could be just her time with that, and understand the importance of that moment. And I took Caroline with me. I think it was game 1 and 2. So, and then my son wears a Texas jersey all day, every day. We hit in the backyard every day at some point. We throw baseballs across the house. I have holes in this house just because of so much fun we have. But like, he loves it, and all he talks about is hitting dingers and homers, and sharing the time with me on the field. And it's just so much fun. So it's really important that they're a part of it. But yeah, my son, it's always fun to watch him. He's went out with a couple of our managers and given the lineup cards, and he's inside the clubhouse, and I've taught him how to scrub and bubble shoes, and just little things like that. So it's really cool to have them be a part of it.
Yeah, sports are just great from that standpoint. It just seems like baseball is a little bit better at times when you look at, again, the generations and growing, and dad playing baseball with his son in the backyard. It's just some special moments, and you've had some big special moments obviously this year as well, which is great.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we usually do a top 5, and for you, I want to get to the top 5 players you've been around. You mentioned some of them here, whether it was, back in the Pirates days or in your professional career. Who are the top 5 players that you've been around and you think of fondly, whether they're, their playing days or maybe off the field as well?
Yeah, I mean, those are wow, those are really hard because everybody's got like a place in my heart. But like, Brian Britt was like one of them there at UNCW. Like, just watching him that weekend, I think he hit like 4 homers against James Madison, and he was able to go and play. But that just showed you that your opportunity from UNCW, like we had players that went to the minor leagues and then made it to the major leagues, and it's a great school and phenomenal school. But I mean, being around Barry Bonds when I was a young kid was really awesome. I mean, it was to watch him go about his business, understand it, and go through it. Cal Ripken is another one that I was able to be around and watch. That's what truly taught me, like, you have to show up to play every single day. This game is so difficult. You've got to go and you've got to play extremely hard. Derek Jeter is the captain. There's a reason he's a captain, because he understands how to fail in New York, how to succeed in New York, understands, what it's like to play on the biggest stage and win multiple championships. And the other one right now is Corey Seager. I'll be honest with you. Corey Seager he hit 6 home runs in the playoffs, either to tie it or go ahead. And I don't think I've ever seen a 6'4" shortstop move the way he moves. And to see him turn double plays, and to see him make backhands, and to see him play the game with passion and the way he did towards the end of the playoffs, it was really cool. So I try to give you a little bit of every error there. But, to be honest with you, my number one player is my dad. I mean, he's awesome. And, he played a short time there with St. Louis. And, him and I like to rib him a little bit, just because I was able to play a little longer and I got a World Series before he did. So,
so these holidays, you've had bragging rights around the table, or when you talk to him and get together with him. That's great. You mentioned Corey Seager. He's a North Carolina kid as well. What makes him so special? I mean, again, I told you I'm a Dodgers fan, so Dodgers were, hated to see him leave in free agency, but MVP in the World Series for the Dodgers and for the Rangers as well. What in your mind makes him so special?
Just the consistency. He shows up. He has a process. He has a plan, and he knows what he wants to do every single day. He came over. It was an instant, help to the Rangers organization, the way he played, the way he went about it. And like I said, he plays extremely hard. It's 6'4", and I mean the amount of talent inside that body is remarkable. So he's a leader inside the clubhouse. He's a leader out on the field, and I think that's what changes and makes a big difference with us. Like he's able like the heartbeat. He's able to slow down his heart. He's able to capture the moment and live in the moment versus like feeling something else. So. He's just a great person. We kind of know him through my wife and some of her friends, and we live about 5 miles from Northwest Cabarrus. So there's a lot of people around here that know him as well.
Well, again, a World Series champion for you and the Rangers for the first time. Are you on social media? How can people follow your progress, and see if, again, down the road at some point, we see Josh Bonifay as a general manager in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on. I do the Facebook and I think it's Instagram, and I have a Twitter. I think it's got a blue check. Or I don't know, it's Twitter anymore. X. It's got the check mark still. So I'm on there, and I don't post a lot, but I'm on there. Just to follow people and follow news and things of that nature. But I don't mind if somebody DM me. I usually DM them back and say hello. So.
Is there ever a downtime for you as well?
No. So I literally just got back from the winter meetings. I was in the Dominican. I was in Arizona. And I've been in Nashville, and I went back to Dallas for our meetings all since the World Series ended. So literally yesterday was the first day I'm at home, and today as well. I'll spend as much time as possible here up until January 7th, and then I have to go back out to Arizona. So yeah, there's a little downtime here with Christmas, but it's awesome. I mean, we're trying to hire people. We're trying to bring in more people to the Rangers organization to continue to make this thing a success.
Well, we appreciate you spending a little bit of that downtime with us here today and share your story and your memories of not just UNCW, but certainly your career, and a promising career. And again, we continue to follow your career and look for you to continue to blossom, as I'm sure, again, if you want it, I'm sure at some point GM and Major League Baseball will be out there. We'll see where that lands you at some point. But best of luck to you.
Mike, I really appreciate the time, man. Please tell everybody at Seahawk Land I said hello.
Will do. Well, Josh, incredibly busy, and we appreciate him spending a little time with us here today, talking about his story and talking about maybe what's next for him, potentially being a general manager in Major League Baseball. We thank you for watching, for listening, and as always, invite you to like, to subscribe, and to share each episode. We continue to bring you great guests, great stories, great journeys from our guests as well. For JR Equipment, our creator, producer, director, I'm Mike Vaccaro. We'll see you next time, another edition of In the Front Row with Mike Vaccaro. Have a great day, everybody.